Let's open up the OG mailbag alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovias. We are inside Eford Studios. We're always brought to you by Copiers Plus. But when we open up the mailbag, it's all thanks to you, the OG fan subscriber over at ogtrianglemedia.com. And of course, our friends at the Butcher's Market, Giglio's source for hot dogs.
Oh, I was going to say, I got new sources. I love it.
All your hot dog needs met at the Butcher's Market. Folks, they have way more than hot dogs.
I was going to say I shamed myself into a ribeye the other day.
Good for you.
I shamed myself.
Good for you.
Like, this is so good. Sometimes you forget.
Did you chop up little hot dogs slices to put it on top of the ribeye? Meat on top of meat?
Give me that meat with that meat.
Jeez. I don't know. Some chef will do it in Raleigh and it'll be like this brand new hotness. Anyway, with the mailbag, we take your comments, we take your OG sports phone, and we go from there. First part of it is free, but the rest of it is not, unless you're an OG fan over at ogtrianglemedia.com. So let's get after it.
Here's the mail, it never fails. Makes me want to wag my tail when it comes to what a whale.
All right, this first one comes to us from Sean. Is Duke feeling extra pressure to win the NCAA tournament because they know those White Lotus memes are sitting in the drafts waiting to be unleashed when they lose?
I have not. Now, my wife has been watching White Lotus. And they have some interesting plot lines. I will catch that. But I don't know enough about it to comment. But
so White Lotus is in season 3, in the middle of season 3. It's got Schwarzenegger's kid in it, and there's some things going on, man.
Yeah.
But one of the main characters, the dad of this rich family with white people problems. That's what I love about White Lotus. It really is just illustrating the first world white people problems that exist.
Yep.
And one of the families, Jason Isaacs is the actor, and he plays this guy who went to Duke. He's got this Southern accent, this North Carolina accent that people have been debating. Brownlow and I talked about this a little bit on OG Fans. She is actually mad at the people who are convinced that is not a proper North Carolina accent, where Jason Isaacs screwed up because he called it a Durham accent. There's no such thing as a Durham accent, but
sure.
Brownlow's like, I can tell you at Sedgefield, I know that accent very well. I'm like, yeah, that's like a triad accent.
Okay.
So anyway, so Lucius Malfoy from Harry Potter's out here doing a Sedgefield accent. I'm sure John Swafford hears that and goes, oh yeah, I know that guy, right? Anyway, the dynamic is the husband went to Duke, Parker Posey, the wife, went to Carolina. There's like an in-joke that goes on throughout that, right? Okay. The problem is that Jason Isaacs' character is wearing a Duke shirt when he's doing some really
problematic
things, including contemplating suicide, fever dreams, killing his wife, all sorts of crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's all a character choice. It's not real, whatever. I'm reading Variety, and
yeah, we can have spoilers. Like I saw the one. He has the vision or dream of killing himself, and he's wearing the white Duke shirt, and he's sprawled out on the floor.
Yeah,
so that'll be the meme.
He's got the gun to the head, and that'll be the meme.
Okay,
right. So this is a statement from Frank Tramble to the New York Times. Frank is the university's vice president for communications, marketing, and public affairs. Apparently, he's never heard of the Streisand effect because he gave a quote to the New York Times. Quote, Duke appreciates artistic expression and creative storytelling, but characters prominently wearing apparel bearing Duke's federally registered trademarks creates confusion and mistakenly suggests an endorsement or affiliation where none exists. End quote. Tramble emphasized that the Mike White drama, he's the director of this guy, not only uses our brand without permission, but in our view, uses it on imagery that is troubling, does not reflect our values and who we are, and simply goes too far, end quote. Again, Streisand effect. It wasn't really a thing other than some internet memes, but now that you've put it out there, now it is a thing. And people cannot wait to use these memes if and when Duke loses in the NCAA tournament. And I am shocked that somebody in this profession has never heard of the Streisand effect. Just let it go, man. And also what he's bringing up here, I mean, I know this through osmosis because this is what my wife does, okay? This is
the copyright?
This is Kelly's expertise. And I brought this up to her. She goes, no, it's artistic license. What is he talking about? It's not real. Who would associate this? And of course, I brought up to her, I'm like, weird that they never had a problem with the bear and all the Mike Krzyzewski. Oh, well, I mean, they're just giving Mike Krzyzewski all this love, right? So it is funny how these schools do these things. But yes, man, if and when Duke loses, meme's going to be thick. Absolutely thick. All right, let's go to the OG Sports Phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
All right, this is from a 919.
Congratulations to Scheyer and the boys there. Elite Eight for 2 out of your first 3 years is a wonderful start to his coaching career. But the job's not done. This team has to show that they are better than last, just regarding the ACC championship, regular season, and tournament. They got to make the Final Four. They don't have they just have to. This team's too good, and the path is there for them. But as a Duke fan, I can finally say, Caleb Love, thank you and goodbye. You did your best. You tried your hardest, but it was not to be this time. This Duke team is just a little bit different. Talking about the path of revenge, Jeremy Roach, thank you for your services. We take care of you there. Caleb Love, thank you for your services. We take care of you there. Next on the revenge is Nate Oates for his comments about K during the COVID stuff. Hopefully we can take care of him and move on to the Final Four. Thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
I'd seen this pointed out that it's fitting because time is a flat circle or the circle of life, however you want to phrase it. Caleb Love ended Coach K's career. It's only appropriate that Duke managed to end Caleb Love's career in college with the Sweet 16 win over Arizona after he put on a fantastic performance. I mean, 35 points was outrageous. The Nate Oates thing, I think some context has been lost because it's been 5 years. Happy COVID anniversary.
Yeah.
It's been 5 years since everything
December
shut
of
down. 2020.
2020.
So Nate Oates was the context here, for those who don't remember, is Duke had COVID going through, and Coach K also was a year in which they weren't all that great too.
Right.
So they lost a couple non-conference games, and Mike Krzyzewski made some comments of like, "What are we doing here?" Which I thought
made
was
some very real, honest, hey,
right. What are we doing
we're
here?
Exploiting these players.
Weird. And he was right, because you had to keep the lights on somehow, and sports was the way to do it. And I'm not here to relitigate all this stuff. It's been 5 years, man. We've moved on. But at the time, I remember agreeing with Mike Krzyzewski, like, man, what are we doing? Also understanding, well, you have to do it because that's what sports means to the universities. Nate Oates did a press conference and was a little cavalier about it, which I thought was surprising, given apparently Nate Oates and Mike Krzyzewski had a little bit of a relationship up until that point. And Nate Oates was new at Alabama, the hot upstart, hot shot coach. And this is what he had to say.
It's a good question. Christina, can I ask you something? I just want to know your opinion. Do you think if Coach K hadn't lost the 2 non-conference games at home, if he'd still be saying that?
Probably not.
Okay. I just wanted you to say it, not me. So look, here's my deal.
So that was the line that got everybody going. He eventually apologized for saying that because it was a little cavalier, man, at that time.
Yeah. And also at that point, he had been like Buffalo's coach and gotten them to the tournament. Sure. I mean, he's an excellent young coach.
He is.
But you got to show some respect. You got to, and this is not a Jeff Bezalek, no respect. This is you have to make your own bones before you go after a legend like that.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you think it was just an offhanded remark, or if you thought you were being cute,
he was being cute. He was going for the cheap
whatever
pop.
You were thinking.
He was going for the cheap.
You
pop.
need to be more respectful than that.
Well,
and if you had your own things, like now he's got a Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
If you had your own things, then you can maybe in a more playful, cutesy kind of way. But at that time, I remember lashing out at him, being like, "Hey man, keep your mouth shut till you do half of what Mike's done, and you still haven't done half of what Mike's done." So
we'll see if the revenge tour takes place, if it continues on Saturday. Maybe Jon Scheyer has been getting texts from Coach K saying, "You better stick it in that MFer's ear, Joe." You think Coach K would say that? Or would Coach K get more graphic given his proclivity for cursing, unlike our friends at Carolina?
I suspect
Coach K is not saying what the fart.
It may just be the clip. I might just text him the clip, right? I would.
Yeah. So, hey, remember this?
Not even remember. Just here's the
Check the
clip.
clip.
No context. Here's the clip.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Right.
All right. We got another
You've got mail.
sports phone call from a 919.
Hey, Joe. Got a question for y'all. I heard you guys talking with Brendan Marks today, kind of comparing the Belichick to UNC and the Will Wade to NC State. And I got two questions for each of y'all. What would you guys define, just kind of talking about your success between the two, what would you define as success for both Belichick at UNC and Will Wade at State overall? And then what would you define as success for the first years for Belichick at UNC and for Will Wade at State? Thanks, guys. I'm a longtime fan and big Wake Forest Demon Deacons fan. So thanks, guys. Have a good one.
I have a follow-up for that caller. Do you get mad when Giglio says my Deeks? It's the kiss of death.
All right. So what do you want to do first? Overall or first year?
Let's do first year, and then we can get to overall, because I think we're only going to deal with 1 year with one guy.
Yeah.
So mainly Bill Belichick. So let's start with Bill Belichick. You had sent me a clip.
Belichick. Yeah.
You sent me a clip with the Marty. He was on the Marty party.
I like this. I like how this is starting.
So I don't have the clip in front of me, but I'll paraphrase. Mac Brown was talking to Marty Smith of ESPN, and Marty Smith asked him a question about, what would you tell Bill Belichick about Carolina? Can you win there? Stuff like that. And Mac was ready to go to tell you about, man, they don't care about football the way you think they care about football, and you need money. He's still on that money thing, as though he wasn't getting enough money as the head coach at North Carolina to compete.
I don't dispute that he doesn't get as much money as like Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, whoever.
Nobody disputes that.
I don't dispute that.
Nobody disputes that at all.
Should.
But he's still bitter about that. He's still butthurt about that.
He flat out said you cannot win a national championship at North Carolina.
Nope.
That's what he flat out said.
Yep.
A, they don't care enough about football, and B, they don't have the financial resources to do it. It's not a football. Basically, it's not a football school.
He's right.
You cannot win it there.
He is right about this. He would know. It's one thing if we say it.
Sure. Again, it's one of those deals. Yeah.
If we say it, people are like, shut the hell up.
You're a hater.
Mac knows. He's done it twice over. Twice. All right. In two different eras of college football. Twice. He would know. So I'm going to believe Mac Brown on this one.
All right.
First year for Bill Belichick.
Year success for Belichick, given this roster. If they go 9-3 and have a look at, like, if one of those games down the stretch gives them potential to be in the playoff, I would say that's a successful year. Their schedule is awful. It's really, 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 really bad. Like, it's really, really bad. But I'll still say not if they get to November at 9-2, 8-2 with a chance to play their way into the playoff, I would say that's a successful year. If they're in playoff contention this year and go 9-3, I would say, and they beat State, it's a successful year.
You just hit on my one and only marker of success for Carolina this year. You got to beat State. Hell, you got to beat Duke. Okay. You can't spend all this money, bring that man in, talk about 33rd NFL team, and lose to Duke and lose to NC State. I don't care about playoff contention. I don't, because that's trickier. Because there's also
SMU and Indiana just did it.
I get it. So I get it. I still think it's trickier. And you're not doing it if you lose to Duke and if you lose to Duke and State.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So you got,
which are the three. They have 3 difficult games on their entire schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even sure State will be one of them, but
I think it
still
will be
rivalry game.
Yeah.
Duke, Clemson, State.
Yep. You got to beat Duke and you got to beat State. End of discussion. It's that simple for me. That is the success. As for Will Wade, it's making the NCAA tournament in year one. I don't care how far you go in the NCAA tournament, but you have to make the NCAA tournament. That also clears the bar of making the ACC tournament. It's a pretty low bar, but I think they can do it.
He glossed over that one.
I think they can do it. I think they can make the ACC tournament next year. But yeah, I mean, the clear delineation, the clear marker for success for Will Wade is to get to the NCAA tournament. You can't have that kind of press conference. You can't spend that kind of money. You can't ask for those resources and then miss on the NCAA tournament in year one, given his track record too.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable
7
expectation.
in the last 10 years.
Yeah. I think that's a reasonable expectation. Overall, again, I don't see Bill Belichick lasting more than a year at Carolina. we were asked this question the other day. What is the over-under on Will Wade? Let's set the over-under at Will Wade at 4.5 years.
I would say 3.5, and I would probably still take the under.
Still taking the under?
I think this ACC 2030 deadline is more of a number out and a clock out there than people realize.
Really? I think.
Yeah.
I mean, listeners of this podcast know it's a clock that's running. The doomsday clock is getting closer. I would agree with you on that. So you're positioning it as NC State is going to be left out in the cold, and Will Wade's going to go somewhere else.
I suspect, yes, by 2030, NC State is left when the musical chairs play.
Okay.
They'll still be in the ACC, but I do not expect Duke, Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, Miami to be in the league with them. So they'll be in the bastardized version of the Iriate Gilio conference by that point.
Yeah.
I think I respect everything that Will has done, but I don't, and I respect that he didn't say this because a lot of coaches love to do this. This is my dream job. I'm never leaving. Right.
Right.
We didn't hear that from Will. That's not a bad thing, but fair enough. Will could be Kentucky's coach in 3 years.
Was it Randy Edsel that said Maryland was a dream job for football?
Yeah.
Nobody thinks.
No, sir.
No, sir. Nobody thinks of Maryland as a dream job. All right. Next up, to a 919.
Hello, my name is Joseph. I'm living in a new place in Wake Forest.
This is Joseph, the guy who still cracks me up. He called a while ago. He's like, I don't know why I'm watching this, but he still felt compelled to call the sports phone, which I thought was funny. So shout out to Joseph. Still with us. We appreciate that. All right.
Hello, my name is Joseph. I'm living in a new place in Wake Forest. Quite a big town. Anyway, I wanted to respond to something Julio said on the 24th regarding UNC basketball. And the fact of the matter is, he went to NC State, and he doesn't have the perspective of a UNC graduate or fan or anything like that. I'm 50 years old, and I started paying attention to basketball in 1982 when Michael Jordan hit that shot. I was 6 or 7. My father let me stay up and watch the game on TV. And in that time that I can remember, there's only been 2 occasions where UNC made the tournament and did not make it to the Sweet 16. And in my remembrance, taking away Matt Doherty, because, there's only been 1 season before Hubert Davis when UNC did not make the tournament. And I just don't know that if you're not a fan of UNC for a long time and you don't have that type of consistent success, you really can't suppose something upon a UNC fan, and you can't say something declaratively. I think Hubert Davis is a fine coach. I also think he may not be UNC's coach. And of course, we'll have to wait and see with the new GM, who I never heard of before he was hired, although I'm not an authority on it or whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to call, and it's not that it upset me by any stretch, but it just seems like, I understand he went to NC State, but he grew up in New Jersey. Well, I grew up in Durham, North Carolina, and I went to UNC. And I've been a UNC fan, like I say, since 1982. So it's tough to reference that time if you weren't here. And it's tough to reference that aura of sustained success if you've not been around to see it. So anyway, you guys do a pretty good job, and I do hope you both have a good day.
Wow. All right, here's some facts, my man, Joseph. Some facts.
The gatekeeping on this, my goodness.
You said whatever your stat was on the Sweet 16, just dead ass wrong, man. So pay more attention to your school. 94, 96, Dean Smith did not make the Sweet 16. 99, Guthridge. 01, Doherty. 06, 18, Roy Williams. And 21, Roy Williams. So not really quite sure what you're talking about. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 times since your time frame. Oddly enough, the first college basketball game I ever watched was the same game that you watched. I know it's weird, but TVs did work in New Jersey as well. So, yeah, and guess what? Like the NCAA tournament was in my backyard like a long time, a lot of time. Followed them, went to them. So, yeah, man. Whatever. That's all I'll say to you. You don't even know your own stats. So.
Well, the other thing, I enjoyed the gatekeeping there. Number one, as though we haven't been working and doing this for a while now and spend time at these respective schools. I also enjoyed the have the day you deserve at the end of that one. It was not quite a bless your heart. It was very much I hope you have the day you deserve. It was salute to you on that one. And the last thing I'll say about this, you cannot sit here and tell us that you're super plugged in and you know the culture better than anybody else. You know it better than us. And you don't know who Jim Tanner is. And you don't know what he's bringing to the table. You don't know his connections to Carolina and the guys he's worked with and his relationship to Roy Williams. So please, if you're going to spend 3 minutes on the sports phone telling us that we don't know shit from shit, you have to then at least give us an indication that you know all these things as well. But I get it. Fans are going to fans, man. It is what it is. All right. Next up. This is from this is a Twitter question. I thought this was right up your alley. Let me pull this. This is from Keaton. We need a slow news day top 5 on 3 photo caption segment in the summer.
Yes.
The latest one is a Tom Izzo where I guess Dan Wolken had asked him about winning games in the NCAA tournament. And the money quote is, once you win a national championship, winning a tournament game means nothing. It doesn't turn me on. To which the on 3 graphic reads, turned off. That's good. Turned off. That's what a beer bro. That's what happens to a beer bro when they go to a brewery and they don't have some sort of experimental Idaho 85 hop in their IPA and it's not super hazy. I'm turned off. Sorry. That's just not doing it for me. I'm going to move on to the next brewery so I get some experimental hop. It's going to be tough to top the Stephen A. Smith death, though, dude.
Death.
Come on. Like, that's impossible to top. It read death. You can't beat that. Well, that's a good topic idea. We might have to do that once we get to the summer and corral a lot of these on 3 graphics.
You have new mail.
From Jesse. Hey, Joe. I bought my first record, but I don't have a turntable. Then why'd you buy the record, Jesse? I'm kidding. I get it. It's enticing. Any recommendations on a starter that won't break the bank on a turntable? There's a couple ways to go about this. If you are thinking about getting into records, you're going to start buying vinyl. And look, I'm somebody who's been doing this now for almost 10 years when I got the bug. And it's been good to go back to physical media and like listen to records intentionally, listen to albums intentionally, flipping sides and all that stuff. You can go about it 2 ways. You can go new, and I would recommend Audio Technica. They're a brand that's been around for a really long time, and they make really good starter turntables. Avoid the Crosley briefcase models and all that stuff, right? Get an Audio Technica. They even make Bluetooth versions. So you don't need a receiver. You don't need a tuner. All you need is powered Bluetooth speakers to connect to. And it makes it for a really easy setup. I think you can get those now for like $130. They got a good needle. They're weighted, is what it is. Or you can go visit our friends at Sound Off in downtown Raleigh. And you can talk to Aaron, who will walk you through all sorts of cheap options for vintage tables. There's a little bit more involved with that, and you're going to need a receiver to go with it. You're going to need some speakers to go in the receiver to go along with the turntable. It's probably a little bit more cash outlay because you're buying more equipment, but it might be worth it in the long run. And I know Aaron does a good job. They got all sorts of great old school turntables there, and things that are under $100. You're not breaking the bank on some vintage gear. So that is what I would recommend. All right, that's going to wrap it up for the free portion of the OG mailbag. If you want to get all the Will Wade reaction all the Will Wade OG sports phone calls, by all means, go to ogtrianglemedia.com today. Go be part of OG fans. You'll get the full mailbag segment. You will get newsletters where we get written content from Gilio, Lauren Brownlow, Tom on the Hurricanes, some fun and frivolity from Mitch Northrum on women's college basketball. Dimitri's got some stuff as well. We also have more premium podcasts like OG on Business and ACC Panic Room, along with the mailbag. And you can sign up today over at ogtrianglemedia.com.